you've kind of almost lost half the value of the Phoenix already. That Sunray doesn't feel like it's going to be doing quite as much. It's a very interesting pickup as well, but that kind of goes to where we were talking about. So SMG, they go with the DP, and it's kind of like already indicating we want to finish the game quick, and that's what every Spectre player hates, because they want the game to go on for minimum 35-40 minutes. They want to farm forever. But Team SMG, they've got a DK, they've got a Death Prophet now. Two heroes that don't really need much to just be able to push down towers extremely fast. Once you've taken down those initial tier 1 towers, the space for the Spectre is a lot smaller, but TNC, they're going to fight that with a Broodmother, it feels like. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that gives you all the space, right? From the off lane, just play aggressive, shove down towers as quick as possible. It doesn't quite give you the team fight to really work with your Phoenix Egg here, but it does give you that space. So you don't need too much farm to get going. Itemization tends to be more towards aura items, mech, Guardian Greaves, pipe coming down the line, and that pipe is going to be really helpful, especially against the Lina, AA, and DP. So we'll have to see if they can hit those timings there for Bach, but it is a way of buying space out for the Spectre. It's just a lot of pressure now in Bach. He cannot afford to slip up in that off lane with a Brood, which is where it tends to go. He needs to buy that space. If he kind of falls flat, then you've got a Broodmother and Spectre potentially trying to farm up, and that's never going to be ideal.
So the Brood pick is mainly to try and counteract SMG's goal to end this game early, right? Because Brood can be a little bit strong in the early game. So is that a lot of the reason as to why that Brood was picked? Is that what you guys are saying?
That's how I feel anyway. I think the idea is they're going to try and control our map. Let's control their side of the map, and that way we can kind of rotate the Spectre to be able to farm in different areas of the map. So SMG probably going to try and take the top half of that dire side jungle, and I imagine TNC will try to do the same, but on the opposing side, by pretty much aiming down that bottom tier 1 and mid tier 1 tower. As long as you get those down, you've got another jungle to go to. Gabby should be more than happy. And as well as that, the Broodmother, it's one of those heroes you can't run into, because if you run into it by yourself, you're probably just going to get munched up by the spiderlings. And as you know, as an Australian, I would know very well that is not very fun. So, you know, it's one of those battles as to who can control the map better right now between the two. If TNC can do it with the Spectre, you could pretty confidently say they should be able to take out the game as far as the draft is going right now. But it is a hard task. I don't think the Broodmother is going to make it that easy to be able to do that.
Do you have any guesses for what their final picks could be?
TNC is lacking a solid mid here for our Mel. I think what's more interesting is going to be SMG on the safe lane. What mid one here do they pick up, really? Because they've already got that fast pace with the DK and the DP. You might just want to double down and go for a really quick game. Have all of your cores have this nice power spike by the 15-minute mark with levels and a couple of cheap mid-game items. You don't really have the best options for that, though. Yeah, classics like Jug, which can help sustain a push, already banned out. You could maybe consider like a Lina that can be quick if you play it quick, but it can also sort of scale towards late if you want to play a farm game, but it's always a bit of a risk against the Spectre, so going to be a bit hard to do that. The Kunkka does come out here, though. Armel Kunkka is a treat. We don't get to see this as often from TNC. I think most of the teams picking up the Kunkka have been stuff like Army Geniuses, and teams like that tend to gravitate towards Kunkka more, but this does build up on that durability on that team fight. It can synergize now with your Phoenix. You've got the rum buff to sustain yourselves in these fights, keep your Broodmother alive as well. You've got good AoE control, and it can be really hard to zone out in mid, so it's a solid, stable way of closing this out for TNC.
Certainly is. I mean, I really like that pick. When you consider the fact that your Broodmother's probably going to buy a pipe as well, you put the boat runner on top, you've got the sustain from the Phoenix. It looks really good. It looks really tanky on the side of TNC Predator, and I can't really imagine any of the heroes dying. There's not really much burst damage on the side of SMG to really just kind of delete someone from the team fights before they start, apart from maybe the Lina, and you'd add an Ice Blast to that, but once you hit that mid game, it's not going to be quite impactful, so I'm really liking where TNC's gone with this mid lane. Assuming Armel can have a decent time in that first 10 minutes in that laning stage, I think this draft should work out very well. Unless SMG is going to surprise us with a very, very clever last pick, but...
Do they double down here to be like, first and we pick someone that's going to be a burst champ, or do you think that they need someone that is going to be maybe a little bit more tankier that can farm into some tank? Which way would
I'd
you
say
guys go?
doubling down would be a bit better. It's just that there's not many pause ones they have that can be super quick here. I think Luna should be something they consider, but it's also a bit tough. They go with carry Axe, which is, again, something we've seen a bit of Ag Shard build up Manta style. You can start to push against the Broodmother in that case. You can start to eat up some of those Broodlings as well. They are a bit quick to catch out, but you can keep your lanes in check. It is fairly fast paced. It does give you something of a burst combo, right? Laguna plus Culling Blade can delete heroes. So even if they've got the rum buff on, as long as they're below the threshold, you can chop right through. The thing is, Mid One's got to hit that timing now. He's still going to have to play against the Broodmother off lane from Bach. And that's not usually a lane you see too often. Like, you sometimes see carry Axe, you sometimes see the Broodmother. I don't think you see them in the same game all too much.
Now, last question I want to ask you guys before I quickly run off is just based on draft alone, who do you guys think you're going to win if you want to start, Mike?
You know, I was all TNC before that Axe pick, but I think that's a really clever pick. I'm still going to say TNC. I think TNC has the better draft. I think they're going to be too hard to deal with later on. That's what I'm going for. I'm sticking with my gun.
And what about you, John?
I think SMG has this really quick push lineup that TNC has to be careful about. Like, they'd probably be playing 4 versus 5 for the most part. Can be tricky to deep push against that, even with the Brood. You've got right clicks from your Lina, you've got the Dragon form, you've got the Exorcism. They're going to have to hold steady for at least 15 to 20 minutes. If they can do that, they can win out. But SMG, their win condition super fast and pretty easy to execute as long as they hit those timings.
Well, I'll let you guys go and take it away for game number 1.
Thank you very much, Nat. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are into our first game of the SCA qualifiers between SMG and TNC Predator. And it is, of course, your casters MLP Dota and johnxfire. John, I love asking you this. How you doing, sir, before we do start game number 1 officially?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited. First game of the TI qualifiers. It's always exciting to see teams fighting for that big stage. And Southeast Asia is a mess, right? Like, we've got so many teams that deserve a shot towards TI, and here we are. You've got TNC playing, you've got Motivate Trust, you've got SMG, all these veteran players as well, especially on SMG's end, vying for that 1 slot. So a lot on the line. This is upper bracket, so teams aren't going to be eliminated yet, but you want that steady ride towards those finals. So every game counts, every win counts. And as we mentioned, SMG, they've got Moon on. He's got a lot to prove, as does everyone else on SMG. We're going to have to see if they can carry through and prove their point.
Look at this though, John. SMG, a bit of a clever smoke going on here. So they placed the ward on the northern side of the river. Now they've smoked up. I think this is a bit of a surprise tactic. But can they get to the high ground of that side triangle? They're going to try and sneak up from the backside. It's taking a little bit long though. I'm not sure if they're going to miss out on too many bounties, but no, there's no heroes around, so they're going to be able to steal 1. Now, perhaps get a kill. Tim's going to run right into him. Light Strike Array, of course, is going to land, and Tim's, he's going to get a nice Earth Spike. In fact, a bit of a Ravage there, but it looks like he is indeed set to die. Mid one, the first one to pick up first blood for game number 1. And I'd say there's no better way to start. SMG, very little clever kind of smoke there to get this game 1 started.
And that's what you like to see. You want to be aggressive with that Axe. Mid one went for that level 1 Battle Hunger along with Raji's Cold Feet. A lot of BOTs that the Lion can't really run away from. And just having this nice early extra start for mid one allows him to control that lane a bit better. You can see Bach already copying some of that damage here. There's not too much Tims can do once they commit those spells onto the Brood. And it's going to take a few levels for the Broodmother to start to sustain herself here with a web spam, with the insatiable hunger trades. And even if you have that hunger up, it's not like you want to right-click an axe. So it's a bit tougher for the Brood to keep in touch there. And SMG, well, they're just playing this perfectly fine. As perfect as you'd want it to be.
Absolutely. That's kind of the reason why I was so impressed by the last pick axe coming out from SMG is the fact that it kind of answers the Broodmother so well, and see the pure damage that can fly out can be very effective. Although top lane looks like they are going to go after Gabby. Gabby already taking a lot of damage, and well, this is another thing we talked about during the drafting stage, John. The double stun lineup in this off lane for SMG, quite potent. Dragon Tail, Light Strike Array. You see how much damage that Gabby has to take on the Spectre. It's not going to be very fun, and course, Boomy at those earlier levels on the Phoenix really can't do much up against this dual lineup.
It's a slower lane for TNC. It's just the nature of the Spectre. The Phoenix needs levels as well to really harass out. Once you get level 2 Fire Spirits, you can sort of try to zone out KP a little bit better, but it's a bit tough. And every single time KP can, as long as the lean is ready, the stun combo on Gabby is going to be super annoying. So he's got to play it a bit safer. He's still finding some good last hits though. KP's not really doing enough to stop that. And all things considered, I think this is pretty stable for TNC. Once you hit level 3 on KP, it's going to be hard to zone him out, but at the same time, you're going to have to deal with this Phoenix level 2 Fire Spirits at his own level 3 spike. If not that, then the Sunray, which does great percentage damage against the DK and great sustain for the spec. So once you hit those level 3 spikes, this should stabilize for TNC a bit more.
Absolutely. Well, it's the one lane we haven't really talked about yet, the mid lane, where you'll see Armel and Moon against each other on the DP and the Kunkka. It does feel like either hero can kind of pull ahead, but right now Armel having the much better time on that Kunkka with the Tidebringer harass. It's like Moon unable to really harass out Armel very much in this mid lane. Does that bother you at all, John, the fact that this DP's not had the most amazing start so far? In fact, hold that top lane. We do end up indeed losing Boomy on the Phoenix. But back to my point, are you bothered that Moon is not having as good as of a time as you may have expected on the Death Prophet?
Yeah, it's going to be tricky for Moon. Like, it's a melee matchup for the DP, so you'd expect the Spirit Siphon to be a bit more effective, but Armel is just playing really well with the Tidebringer, threatening with his Torrent as well. And the one thing that the Kunkka has a little bit better here is that dip into that small camp in the jungle. Tidebringer's a low spell.
Afu looks like he's going to be in a spot of danger. Does end up going down, so Boomy and Gabby, they'll get a bit of revenge in that top lane, and of course he didn't really have the help of KP around as he was farming at the T1 tower, but a little bit of revenge there for the side of TNC, excuse me. That'll be the first kill on the board for them.
Yeah, it's a nice, easy pickup. That's what happens when the DK isn't quite there to tank the damage through. The burn damage coming out from TNC is pretty nice. It's still level 1 Fire Spirits, but you land that, you land the Icarus. There's not much Alina can really do. So it builds up there for the Spectre, considering that early death. I think the big worry for SMG still lies in that mid we were talking about. Like Moon off to the slower start, he's forced to call for a rotation from Afu. Stabilize the lane, it's a lot of commitment to hold down that mid. And this benefits Armel. Like, he might be lagging a bit behind in EXP, but he's got easier jungle access. He's got a massive spike in delaying fights with Ghost Chip. For Moon, once he hits 6, 7, he needs to start looking for scouts. He needs to call his supports forward to get that objective. And it's much more sensitive for Moon to hit those spikes compared to Armel.
That it is. A lot of support kind of rotating across the map right now. Rogi will make the rotation over into that dire triangle, get some wards down. Armel's going to make his rotation up to try and secure the bounty, but Rogi's going to stick around and try to be as annoying as humanly possible. I suppose this DP lane getting slightly harder as time goes on here for Armel, but he's doing just fine in terms of CS at the very least, and that might be all that matters as Rogi around actually stack the camp for Armel, interestingly enough, as now Afu shows up. It's the Light Strike Array, but there's no follow-up to it. Rogi's going to try and run down, but it's going to really not lead to much. Now mid one. He'll make the rotation up on the axe. He'll start taking the stacks away from the side of TNC. So stacking in the opposing jungle, but mid one was already kind of running up to take these stacks away, and I like what I'm seeing from SMG, John.
Yeah, it's just really good movement out. This lines up with the level 6 of Moon as well, so they're going for a push and a bit of a fight in mid.
Yeah, Cold Feet, not going to lock him in mid one. He'll get the call off. He's got the Kunkka, and now with the Light Strike Array, they'll control him up and they'll dunk him down. Another great pick up there for mid one, and he's right back to farming. Meanwhile, the rest of SMG, they just push in the mid T1 tower. This is really clean play out from SMG so far.
Just playing perfect here. Their access a free lane, top of the CS board, just taking those stacks away from TNC. They've got these really beautiful wards as well. That aggressive laning ward we've seen a lot of from the Major. Still in action, not dewarded. The early ward in the triangle as well is catching TNC off guard. So all this information SMG has is really enabling them to group up early on. Like, they're leaving this Broodmother alone. It's not that scary. Like, Bach is just taking free farm, sure, but the axe progresses a lot faster, and he already has that Vanguard up.
Yeah, speaking of the axe, mid one, say hello to Bach. Bok not really too interested in sticking around and having a chat with mid one. Just rather leave him alone for now, as I just keep my eyes on that mid lane where you see Moon, he just hasn't left. He just keeps applying the pressure. Really kind of making sure Armel is forced to stick around and not really rotate on the Kunkka, which is not going to feel very nice for him considering he is at that level 6 mark. Would love to go for a kill with that boat, but just doesn't really have the opportunity right now. And this is something else we kind of went over in the draft, but now that the mid-tier one's gone already, they could really start applying the pressure onto Gabby on that Spectre. It looks like they are already trying to make that rotation up to try and secure that top tier one.
It's just super slow here for Gabby. Still saving up for that Echo Saber. Only has the power treads up. His jungle's being shared with Armel, so the stacks are going towards the Kunkka's way for now. The triangle isn't that safe. Keep stacking up. The resources are fairly limited for TNC, and this is exactly what SMG need to do. I think the next time they're going to look out for is the next exorcism here for Moon. That should line up for that big shove up top. And once that top tower is gone, your jungle's really open. No mid, no top tier one. Means that all these stacks coming out from TNC are at risk. They're not going to be able to just constantly stay in that jungle as long as SMG play their cards right. And they are already clumping up. Exorcism's up in about a second here.
Here we go, Gabby gonna get spotted out. Spectral Dagger does fly up at the Light Strike Array. Landed there for a second onto Gabby, but no real follow-up to it. They might just wait for KP to have his Dragon form back up, and that's gonna take another roughly 20 seconds. I suppose you won't really need it with the Exorcism up on Moon already, but well, there you go, he just pops it. He does not want to wait for the Dragon form. He'll just get started on that tier 1 tower. Now, I've got to say, John, I really like what SMG are doing. Just applying that pressure so early on. We're only 8.5 minutes into this game. It feels like TNC just don't really have an answer yet. The aggression that SMG is kind of providing as they do TP more up Tims. We'll try to go onto Arfu. Armel now is going to show up with KB. He does get the stun off Arfu. He has the follow-up, and that'll be a dead Tims. Warren, it lands, but KP, he's a tanky boy. He's just going to run away, and while they don't really take down the top tier 1, they've done a lot of damage. Pretty much come back at any time to get the job done. There's really no rush here for SMG.
They've still got Dragon Form for a little bit longer. Tower's down to 560 HP. They're going to take a couple of pokes to take out. And the big thing for SMG is they are creating a lot of space. They're buying out space for their Axe to keep farming. The lane for Broodmother solo against Axe is just never fun. Bok is not finding that lead. They are still trying to apply pressure though.
They are. You saw that bottom tier 1. It didn't eventually end up going down, but mid 1, he even denied the tower off. Even more gold being lost for the side of TNC. Definitely not a very good feeling as you kind of look at the net worth board right now, and TNC, they are falling quite behind. Definitely not a very good feeling for them. Gabby even kind of just forced to farm up the mid lane while he can. SMG, they keep sticking around that top lane. They know they want to go back after that top tier 1 tower. But having that Exorcism back up as TNC, they're not really going to want to allow them to just take it for free. You want to just have that big ulti up to be able to fight as now mid 1 does dunk a courier down. Bok loses Ring of Health and won't be able to finish off the Hood of Defiance, and now they have rotated more over, so Paul is there mid 1. They get X'd up by Armel, and here comes the boat right into the Axe. Mid 1, can he tank through this? He's a tanky boy, but not quite enough. He will eventually go down, and Bok claimed the kill from the Broodmother, and that's a very important kill to get though. Bok, Ice Blast is gonna land. Oh, he's gone. That is so depressing. That is depressing.
He was way too greedy, Bok, going back to that camp, not respecting the fact that there's an AA. They know where he was. Just blast across the map. Nice and easy kill for SMG to sort of even it out. And they've gotten space for themselves to clean up that top tower. Top tier 1 faults. They find a trade, core for a core in the bottom lane. Not great feeling when you lose your Axe for a Brood, but the Brood is also the only hero on TNC that's doing really well. It's only Bok up there in net worth. Look at everyone else. Armel's lagging a bit behind. Gabby's still really hurting. Spectre just doesn't flash farm fast enough. This could be troublesome if it keeps up here for TNC.
Rogi, Orange does connect. Earthspike is there to follow up, but Rogi's not dying. The Haunt's in, they're trying to get the job done, but now mid-1 shows up Rogi. He will eventually die, but now can they keep going? They'll try onto Arfu, but Mina is going to be just fine as TNC will take the position 5 AA life, and that'll be about it. They back off. Suppose for TNC, they've just got to take what they can get right now. That'll be 1 kill for them. That'll be enough.
Yeah, it's not the biggest kill. They had to commit haunt for that on Gabby, and he had to bail out because he got hit by the Ice Blast, so it's not the ideal set of kills for PNC, but they are trying to get that space. Network's still not too wildly apart, though.
Could be in trouble. Oh, we have a disconnection, KP. Might have 10 ping, John, but he's back in Southeast Asia, so the DCs have started again for him. Welcome back home, sir.
To be like a shark.
Unfortunately for Moon right now, it's a bit of an awkward scenario, John. He's being chased down by spiders, which, again, does happen quite a lot from where I'm from, and it's going to be a very scary kind of position here for Moon. He'll have our full round. He's also got a TP coming in from Rodji, but perhaps they can get another stun off, maybe lock down Moon and kind of burst him down ASAP. There's a lot of spiderlings around him, so the damage shouldn't really be a problem. They even have the finger on Tim's. They can get it done though, both. The fly-in, finger committed, Moon taking all the damage and will die. No problem for the side of TNC. In fact, they want to go for a bit more, but KB is again having a few issues here on the DK, and we'll have to wait it out and see what's going on.
Yeah, rather unfortunate. Lagging. Not, well, it's Southeast Asia, right? Like, sometimes it happens. TNC just throwing it out there towards KP. Gabby saying they're used to it, as you have to be when you're playing from the Philippines. You know, maybe it's not lag. Maybe KP thinks he has lag. He's not used to the 10 MS. Maybe that's it. You know, he's just not used to not having the late. It feels unnatural. Something's wrong. Still, TNC with that kill on Moon is pretty good. Like, that's their first real big core kill out of the Axe trade with their Broodmother. So this is going to be helpful for them. It can line up for a bit of a shove mid with a half minute where you don't have to worry about that Exorcism. You don't have to worry about the Crypt Swarm, clearing out all those Spiderlings, which is really one factor from SMG we didn't quite talk about. Like, Broodmother came in as a sneaky pick in that draft, but they already had Dragon Slave from Food, from the Lina. They've had Breed Fire from the DK, and they have Crypt Swarm. So they had a lot of good wave clear to stop Bog from being effective, and you can see how hesitant he has been to send those Spiderlings up front. It's just been really hard to micro them to get full use, and we need to see a little bit more coming out from those links. We need to see these towers start falling, especially mid, to even out the map control, to open up more space for Gabby to slowly build up on the Spectre. He's still having a really hard time. 4.3k net worth, lagging behind even Moon on the DP at 4.6, bottom of all the cores. It's going to take a really long time for the Spectre to feel remotely scary in this game.
That it certainly will, John. I mean, he's going for the Echo Saber build-up, which does make enough sense, and is going to speed up his farm a little bit, but it's going to be a while for Gabby, that's for sure. SMG, again, just looking so darn good in Game 1 so far, and it does seem like they've kind of got their game plan in order. You can never really count a side of TNC out as... What is that? Do you know what that is? What's the voice line meant to mean?
It's like an expression. See, walao is like super versatile as a Singlish thing. It can be like surprise, it can be like anger. It's a very versatile... I think it's technically like a junk word, a throwaway word. It's just expressive. So it's like surprise, anger, excitement. You can tell, walao, you're doing good, or you're surprised and stuff. I don't know. I'm not very good with Singlish, even though I stayed there for 8 years. But yeah, it's just an expressive word. It doesn't really hold an inherent meaning. It's about the context. And in SMGs, it sounds like it's more like something bad is happening in the game. You know, that's when you tend to repeat it. Walao. You know, you're being dived maybe or something. I know it's super hard to decipher without context, but that's a peek into Singlish. You know, it's a very interesting blend of multiple languages. I think it's like technically 3 or 4 languages jumbled together there. So it is hard to read, Mike.
Thank you for that, Jonathan. What was that South American one that you really enjoyed, the PPP one? I can't do it. You're the expert, John. There's it seems like it might be similar to that almost.
Kind of. PPP is more like generally in grief though. It's like sadness. You lost. Things aren't going right. Your team lost. Stuff like that. In general, so it's not as flexible as Walawe. Not quite, but it's up there. It's up there.
There you go. So we still don't really have the reconnection from Mr. Damien Chock. Very upsetting stuff here, but hopefully he does come back rather soon. But John, that does give me plenty of time, and I don't think this would be an SEA cast without me asking this. Have you had merienda, sir? Have we filled up before we started the cast?
Yeah, I had some breakfast. I have a can of mate by my side. I really do enjoy it though. Like it's nice and refreshing. Good sip in the morning. Nice tea. Didn't have merienda yet. That's down the line, Mike. It's an afternoon thing. You need to stop asking me about it. It's so weird because it's like, it's like an afternoon meal at 3 o'clock. Like in Singapore, that would be like high tea. It's like a
hold on.
After lunch.
You told me that you eat merienda all the time. Like it's just an excuse to eat, and now you're telling me there's a time frame.
Fair enough. No, like there are different meriendas. There's merienda cena. I think there's something you call something in the morning. I forget. You are right. I haven't had a big meal yet. I will say I did have some great Indian food yesterday, and I lived 8 years in Singapore. I ate a lot of Indian food. I've been looking for it in my city, in Davao. We have a lot of Indian students here, which is great, but I haven't found a good restaurant. I finally found one. We ordered like a biryani, shrimp biryani. We had some butter chicken. We had some shahi paneer, nice tomato-based paneer. Oh, it was so good. I was so happy, Mike. Like, good Indian food is so hard to beat. It's really expensive, but it's so good. Paneer is the best. If you've never had paneer, head down to the hawker if you're in Singapore. Look for an Indian stall. Grab some paneer. Get I guess naan works best with that. Grab a naan, have it. You're gonna be really happy. Or just grab some biryani with it. Mix it together. It's really good. It's not good for you, mind you. It's a lot of calories, but it makes you feel happy, Mike, even for just a moment.
You make me feel happy, John. Thank you for that. SMG, looks like we do have the full reconnection here. KP, just wait for the go ahead to see if everything's fine with the internet. Good to know that KP's back on 10 ping, by the way. It really is hard playing from Australia, John. People say, oh, it's just 100 ping. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it is when you're on this kind of scale of games where you're playing the best teams in the world, and every kind of split second matters. TNC, they head into that mid-tier 1 tower now. The slow chip there from Bok. But consider the fact that Armel right now, he does not have the boat. You don't have the finger from Tim's. You don't really have your big team fight spells out for the side of TNC. You don't really have the haunt either in case Gabby wanted to kind of join in here. But it seems that they are slowly getting away with the chipping of this tier 1. However, mid 1 has come in. Nice call away onto the Spiderlings, and let's at least clear some of those up from Bok. They will go ahead and protect that mid-tier 1, and I think that is very important, right? Because if you let that mid-tier 1 go on the side of SMG and suddenly the map evens out, and TNC are going to be able to create a lot more space for Gabby on that Spectre. So definitely a lot of emphasis here from SMG to not allow it to go down.
Yeah, but they still managed to drag like 4 heroes mid for the defense, so you have a pretty free amount of space there for Gabby to just take that bot lane, dip into the triangle, keep farming up. The Echo Saber's flying out soon, so that's going to be really helpful for Gabby to look for these haunt opportunities. What SMG need to do is still play aggressive. They still, once you commit 4 heroes down mid, you've got to do something about something here.
If he's got the blink up, John, he's going to blink in right into Armel. We'll see if they can just try and burst him down, but that Laguna, it just did no damage. Armel, he'll run out of there. In fact, he'll turn right back around now with the boat out onto Moon. He's trying to sprint siphon his way to victory, but it's not looking great for him as the Sun Ray does fly in as well from Boomy. But it was going to be a really nice initiation, but Armel, he just took no damage. In fact, the pipe flew out from Bok, but I'm not sure if that was what it was. It felt like the Laguna did nothing.
Yeah, he's just really beefy right now on that Kunkka. Not quite the target you want to jump first. They had to back up there as well. The big thing there for TNC was the kill went towards Gabby. He just picked up the Echo Saber, he TP'd in for that fight. He managed just to get that kill off the bat, and he didn't have to use Haunt because it was on cooldown. So now TNC could just wait out the next boat, wait out the next egg if they need it, look for another Haunt opportunity, jump back in, and this is where it gets a bit shaky for SMG. They need to find more objectives. They need to find more pickoffs. This blink on KP is big, but you can't really jump a Kunkka. Your Lina is still stuck at level 6. Level 1 Laguna, level 2 Dragon Slave. The magic burst on that Lina alone is not going to be enough. So you need more backup to nuke her down, and the DP just wasn't quite in the right position. Exorcism is gone for now. It's going to be up in half a minute. They could look for a push off the back of that, but TNC are already taking over that bot jungle.
Moon, you just saw them, sir. They're going to run right into the DP, and Ice Blast is there, but it won't matter because the finger is out from Tim's. And that's a bit of a mistake out from the CEO, John. They just placed the ward down, and it was de-warded by Tim's and Bok. And he just kept going forward for the creep, so it does cost them in the end, and these are the kind of mistakes you don't really want to see from SMG. We talked about it. You're up against the Spectre. You've got to be careful. She is a late-game powerhouse. In fact, top lane now, KB's been caught out. Expo is there. Mel will lock him down, but is it going to be long enough? Because Gabby's in now. Tim's, he'll turn around with an Earth Spike out, and the Sunray. Going to be another kill out for Gabby. He finds another last hit. Maybe more bad news for the side of SMG.
It's not quite lining up for SMG. They're trying to split push for the DK. They're not grouping up as 4 or 5 for that full push potential coming out. They're being punished for that quite nicely by TNC. They play around his haunt really well in the Spectre. They've been really disciplined in handing those last hits off towards Gabby as well. They're still building up though. Mid-one's still top of the last of the net worth board. He's got the Manta style up so he can send illusions out to D-push waves. Gonna look for the blink next and probably looking for that shard once you hit that 20-minute mark. So there are still some good timings here for SMG. It's just that they're giving a lot more towards TNC than you'd expect them to. Like Bok's at the point where he's pretty scary on this Brood and they're jumping KP.
Yeah, KP, he's not really that tanky anymore. Not with that Spirit Vessel out. Bok just gonna take care of it. In fact, Armel, he'll take the kill with the Tidebringer hit. Spirit Vessel going to be a real big problem for the side of SMG now, and you're just not going to feel quite as tanky. And I hate to keep repeating myself, John, but this is not what you wanted to see from SMG at this point, because Gabby, on that Spectre, is able to start catching up quite nicely. You see Bok down that bot side of the map, he's just taken the bottom tier 2 tower. Looks like the rest of SMG not really going to be around to try and defend this. You've got Rogi, but he's not going to be enough. It's just the position 5 AA. TP's mid one in instead to try and just kind of spin his way defending this tier 2 tower. He's going to stick around though. He's not afraid. In fact, Armel and Boomy's around now. In fact, top lane, Tim's, he's been caught out. He'll get dropped and there'll be one TP coming in from Boomy. About it as bottom side. Rogi now, he's been caught on the AA. Loads to fly out. Kind of trade heroes here as position 5's just dropping across the map. Top side, KP and Boomy staring each other down right now. He just about to find Boomy. Should have seen his courier. Icarus dive out the other way. Now the Sunray, but KP, he'll blink away. Towards the left is Armel. I have a gander through the tree line with that torrent, but we'll find nothing. SMG, they all back out.
It's the safe play for them. They can't really go for the chip damage on that tier 2. Have to admit that the wards on the backline here from SMG are pretty good in keeping track of those TP rotations, but there's already a sentry here from TNC, so once they walk into vision range, they're not going to have that piece of advantage anymore, and they do take it out. So the next time they try to make that move on SMG, it's going to be a bit rockier. Still, they are smoked up here going into the triangle.
They ran right into the Spectral Dagger, though. That was very unfortunate timing, and now Tim's a nice hex out onto mid one. Can he control him?
Man.
The core won't land either. In fact, Arfu, he's starting to spiraling as they're trying to fight, and now the Horde's in. They'll get the vision out, and they want to start the team fight. Mid one, he's been caught out on the axe, and he's going to drop first. Rogi, he's trapped between a rock and a hard place. He'll be the third to die. SMG, bit of bad luck there. Again, just running right into the Spectral Dagger, but even then, just unable to catch out Tim's and the Lion. Not going to feel very good for them, and it's going to be another successful team fight for the side of TNC.
Yeah, it's rough now for SMG. It's 4K lead for TNC. Look at how far Gabby's climbed up. 8.7K net worth, above Moon, above KP now. He was so far behind on that Spectre before. Now he's on the rise. The only real farm here you have on SMG is that Axe, and it all boils down to the fact that they haven't been able to push. Like, they've got a DP, they've got the DK, they've got the Lena who can right-click as well. They haven't been able to focus in on a tier 2, and every single time they have, they've been very hesitant. They want to drop multiple wards behind, they want to find where TNC is, and...
Top lane. They have caught out KP once again on the Dragon Knight, trying to force in that lane, but he's going to get punished for it. You can make the argument that he's making space for the team, but it doesn't feel like enough. Mid one, he's going to get running through now as well. Armel going to spot him out, and we'll go for the X. Got the Axe, call is there. Ice Blast is going to land as well. You've got Boomy from the backside, and Tim's, he'll show up right into the boat onto Rogi. They want the AA dead first. In fact, now they might out as Armel in a bit of trouble, but a nice egg on the high ground. They're still trying to go after this Kunka, but he's just so darn tanky. They'll run right into the egg, and now the torrent onto 2 SMG. They'll keep the chase up. Armel is still ticking down and does eventually die to Moon. And the Exorcism Spirits. SMG, they're going to try and rush a Roshan. In fact, let's get caught out with the Yule Scepter. Mid one, going to chase him down. Battle Hunger there, and it should be enough. Catch him out with the Ice Blast and the Call Name. We'll try to burst him down. SMG, do you want to continue that Roshan? Never mind that, mid lane. They found Tim's on the Lion. He's trying to set up for the team. Tim's, he'll go for a run. It looks like he should be just fine. I say that, KP has another blink in just a few seconds, but no. Go for the easy breathe fire, doesn't connect, and that's going to be enough.
It's a bit unfortunate for TNC to force that fight. The forward vision from SMG just allowed them a lot more positioning advantage there, and they still had their tier 1 to TP up to on that top lane. So they get the numbers in, they managed to punish out. It looked a bit wonky with all the spells coming through from TNC, but wasn't quite enough. I think TNC should still be happy. Exorcism's down. A push can't really come out. DK Dragon Form's down for a bit longer as well. And for TNC, well, Boot's back up, Finger's back up, Haun's back up. So TNC are in a much better position to counterfight now if SMG want to force an issue somewhere. And even with the egg down, you still have enough on hand to play.
It does catch out the Phoenix, but he's going to be alright. In fact, Gabby, he just pawns in. Rodney, he's going to die immediately. Now mid one, he needs to back off, but the X is there right into the boat. They've got the X again. They'll finger him down. Arfu going to try and TP and barely gets out with his life intact. Now TNC, having those 2 heroes dead, John, they're going to rush the Roshan pit. And it's not going to take quite long either.
Yeah, and this is scary for SMG. Like, they might have seen both, they might have seen the finger drop, but Egg is back up for Boomy. So even if they commit here, knowing that a couple of spells are down, just having the Egg in this area makes it really tough, and that Roche does not last long enough anyway. First Aegis going towards Gabby. It's going to be harder to pin down the Spectre, and TNC, they're just riding through that power spike from SMG. The most important time for SMG was the 15 to 20 minute mark. We're at 23 minutes now. Mid one is still top in that word. But this core Axe needs a lot more itself to really start catching up. The BKB is going to help, but beyond that, he's really going to need to put this game on his back. And we've seen a couple of teams do that in different regions, particularly in Eastern Europe. But it does take some time, and you're dealing with one of the best late-game carries in that Spectre. So it's going to be a tough road ahead for mid one here.
This is a tough smoke as well, but KP, he does find a great target to get started. They'll get Tim's on the Lion. TNC immediately will just TP right out of there, not wasting any time. They do not want to fight without Tim's. Naturally, you don't really have the Haunt up either right now, so Gabby would prefer to just kind of wait that out, though Boomy, TP is going to be there. They won't have the vision. Let's get himself out, so you got a nice Lion kill. It cost you a 4-man rotation, and it's not going to feel quite as good as it probably would have if you found another. TNC probably still going to be pretty satisfied with how that all went.
Yeah, you don't really mind losing your line. It's not like there's anything big Tim's is waiting for at this point. He's got the blink going for the Force Staff, so he's pretty much set. I think SMG are using this opportunity to take over the jungle, maybe look to shove in that top tier 2, but they're just never in a good position for it. Like, the jungle is still heavily in control by TNC with the spider webs around. Bach can just jump around and clear out what they're trying to do there. So they're forced to back off, even with that big pickoff on the line. And this sort of stall game just benefits TNC much more. Your Spectre's building up, everyone else is getting opportunities to farm and get some EXP going as well. Armel's just about to hit his level 18 mark with a max level ghost ship, making these fights much more obnoxious as well. With a lower cooldown in boat, you've got Bach getting closer to his Ags, and that should allow him even more control on the map with those added spin webs and the added move speed. So there's a lot lining up here for TNC as this game slows down. SMG, they're starting to feel the pressure. They're not splitting off from a group of 4 or 5 anymore. They're just constantly sticking together as a team. It's just that they're not finding openings with this numbers advantage they have on hand.
Really not. You start to get very worried as well with that Eye of Skadi being built up here by Gabby. It's going to cause a lot of issues for the side of SMG. Suddenly KP and mid one just not going to feel quite as tanky. Or even Moon on the DP, not going to be able to siphon as much HP to himself. Start to get very concerned for SMG in this game one. Top lane. Moon, do not walk up to that creep, sir. Mel's just kind of waiting, and there's some lines being drawn out. See the side of SMG, while they'd love to be the ones kind of being aggressive right now, they realize they can't really fight at the TNC. Especially while Gabby has that haunt up. That Moon gonna show himself, they'll go in, they'll get the Hex off, and it looks like they might just burst him down. Gabby, he wants to go for a bit more now. He found Roger, but instead will chase down KP, the ex-teammate. Go for the BKB TP out and make it out. Roger won't be so lucky. We'll go down on the AA, and it's going to be another top tier 1 tower going down here for the side of TNC. Gee, you've got to tell me, John, how do they get back into this game? It's looking very rough.
It's all in on this core axe. Mid one has his BKB flying out. He has a little bit more forward presence when he does dive in. He needs to get some really big calls. The follow-up has to be there from SMG. We need to see the Exorcism and the Dragon Form used near towers. So you want to transition from these fights into objectives. TNC is just not giving that opportunity. They're constantly keeping these waves shoved in. They're playing right at the edge of where SMG would really be able to find anything after a fight. So even if they lose a fight for TNC, there's no transition to objectives.
Look up, SMG, they're going to try and get something done. Hims might just be targeted as he'll be the first one they run into, and, well, Blink not going to be there. Gabby goes for a Spectral Dagger. But he's just so darn tanky right now that he doesn't mind running into 5 heroes. He's still got the Aegis up, he's got a DD rune, he's got that Eye of Skadi now. It's kind of like, how do you kill him? He's just going to walk away. Instead, they ping out Armel. They'll go for the stun with the Ice Blast out before the BKB does fly out. They'll take him down. A nice start for SMG. Hims, his TP cancelled. It looks like he'll be the secondary to die, but he'll try to go for the 4-star toward the south. He might just make it, but no, KP, Blink right on top, get the job done. And that seems to be the key. Just try and fight TNC while the Haunt's not available. It's exactly what SMG is doing at the moment. They get a tier 2 mid tower while they can. They can get it done before TNC feels like they need to try and defend this, but it looks like they are just going to let this one go.
Yeah, I think they can move forward too. You've got the Spiderlings moving forward to creep cut, so the tier 3 is not going to be under threat. They were sort of shoving in the top anyway. Top tier 2 is about 546 HP just from the creeps. So TNC can look to force another fight in that area. Roshan's still down for about 2 more minutes. No other objectives for SMG to take except that outpost. So they're denying out some XP per minute, which is nice. I don't think TNC's going to mind that too much. For TNC's part, they know Exo's down. They know Dragon Form's down. They've got Haunt ready. They've got Egg ready. They can group as 4 and just look for an opportunity here.
He's still got that AD rune in his bottle as well. Very, very scary stuff here on the Spectre. TNC, for now, is going to hold back as SMG. They'll enjoy the free time. Looking at mid one right now, I'm kind of wondering what itemization he wants to go for. Got that BKB up. The next item here.
Could look towards, I guess, something like the AC to counteract the AC that's going to come out here as well in Armel. So you even out the minus armor aura, and the attack speed's always nice going for this build on the Axe. He is still keeping it open. He's got the travel sub, so that fixes some issues playing for Protect 1, or at least having mid 1 play in a different lane. He can join these fights easier now, and he just needs to find opportunities.
He's got the call out onto the Phoenix, but Tim's is there with the Earth Spike in boat. Is going to fly in to make sure they can protect that Phoenix's Gabby. He'll go into the backside, trying to go after supports. Now Sunray's out with the edge on SMG. They're going to just try and back their way out of there. KP going to try and fight as mid 1, jumps back in with the call out, but it's not looking great for the side of SMG. Where's your team fight? There's your finger out, KP. He will survive for now, but not for long. Will get taken down by Bok, and now Armel. He'll be the one to be chased down as Gabby. The rest of TNC just looking to back off, but Bok is looking to restart the team fight. Moving back in. Arthur looks to be the target here on the laner, but he's a very, very fast laner right now, just running away. Instead, they'll try to focus down Moon, as the X is going to be there, Armel. He'll get there in time. They found a much better target. That'll be a Death Prophet going down. A bit of a prolonged team fight, but after the initial jump in, SMG, they just don't really have the follow-up right now with this trial.
No, it's just not there. Like, the egg was not in the best spot for TNC. They did manage to cut off some of that approach towards the high ground, but SMG was forced to pop their BKBs earlier. We saw TNC, Armel ran forward after the BKBs of SMG expired. He had his BKB ready on that Kunkka, and they couldn't do anything to stop the Kunkka. They couldn't do anything to stop the Spectre. The spacing out from TNC was super disciplined as well.
Very nice pickup though, mid 1. Setting up there with Rogi and Arfu. Want to take down Armel on the Kunkka. So it is still rather back and forth in terms of kills here as SMG. They are not bowing out yet. It's a 13-19, 3k net worth lead remaining for TNC. Is now mid 1. He'll get a little bit more aggressive in that dire jungle. Trying to find himself another target to get the call off on. He will indeed end up just TPing out and going back to farming. Not really revealing what his next item is yet. Just holding on to that gold. I suppose you always have so much damage potential here with this carry axe. If mid 1 can get the right jump in with those Mantra illusions, you can just completely blow somebody up. Now, Roshan going to be spotted out. SMG, they're right in. No second guessing it. Smartlings, I believe, were on the way, but TNC, they may have no idea this is actually happening, as they have not made the rotation to try and fight this. It's going to be a 4v5 for now anyway, but see slowly making their way over, or trying to take the outpost to give Armel a TP point. That Roshan still dropping. Spiderling's going to give the vision over. Bok, he'll show up. Mid 1 looking for a call attempt, but won't have the blinker. Now Hawkend will have plenty of vision with that. Ice Blaster flying through, but there goes Arfu. Aegis is on the deck, Moon. He does pick it up, but he might lose it immediately as he does go down. He popped his BKB before he went down. He won't have it available now for the next fight. Rogi has been caught by Gabby, and with the nullifier, they'll take another. Moon, he's going to try and run, but Bok's on his tail. Real mess out on the side of SMG, and well, for TNC, another tower.
It's awkward for SMG. They immediately lose the Aegis. They do at least manage to grab this Ag Shard onto Moon, so he's got the Ag Shard ready to go for him if he wants that additional Spirit Siphon charge and the potential fear that comes out. Issue is they're losing a lot of objectives off this. Tier 2 faults, mid-tier 3, high ground being sieged. They will not have Egg to play with here on TNC's end, but there's no Exorcism as well on Moon's respawn, and the DK Dragon form is going to be up. But this is really just going to be down on maybe looking for a big jump with mid 1, and TNC respect that. They pull back. They just know that, alright, we won that fight in Roche. We didn't get Aegis. High ground's a bit riskier. They can afford to sit back and wait. They're not in a rush. They've got the Spectre for late game. They've got an 8k lead, 13-23. SMG is the one under pressure to keep trying to force these movements out, to keep trying to find some objectives with their own push coming through, but it just never pans out. TNC is super disciplined with how they play with the Spectre, and it's just always a massive risk when you take Roche fights like that. Like, there's Haunt. Like, you just can't be secure in the Roche pit, even if you know where the rest of TNC are. Gabby can just pop right in, and you don't have any way of stopping that in the Spectre.
You think this might be the impact of Mushi as well, being the coach for TNC now? Like, they do seem to be a lot more disciplined the side of TNC.
Oh yeah.
A very clean gameplay so far.
Oh yeah, it definitely is a factor. I think you have to consider Mushi, not just with his experience in the scene for such a long time, but specifically against SMG. I'm sure he knows a lot about these players. You know, all Malaysia, mostly Malaysian players. So it's a lot easier for him to find a read. He knows their playstyle. He knows their tendencies. So he's actually feeding TNC a lot of information. They go with a slower draft, knowing SMG is going for this super quick draft. We talked about the Spectre being in that first phase because they had a game plan. They knew SMG is going to try to run them down. They knew how much space they had to buy for themselves, and that's what we're seeing right now. Like they're holding the game quite nicely. SMG,
smoke on smoke.
They are smoked up.
TNC, some vision, KP, he'll get the blink off. They want the Phoenix dead immediately, but they can't burst him down. He has the Aeon disc, and now mid one, he missed the call out. There's your haunted from Gabby, right up to the backside. Rogi and Arfu already gone, and Moon, he got deleted as well. KP, he's trying to run, but he cannot get away from the side of TNC. They will chase him to the ends of the earth. There's only one left. It's going to be mid one. A nice blink away. Is it going to be enough? It will be. But he lost 4 of his heroes pretty much instantly. It wasn't even close.
Oh, that was tough for SMG. Like KP was BKB'd up while TPing. He got caught at the edge of the egg. Like right at the max range of 1,200. Popped down in the low ground. And SMG, like so many things have to go right for their team fight to work. They have to get that call. They have to burst one hero down. And that surprise Aeon disc coming out was just too much to deal with.
There's your tier 3 tower done with these spiderlings. It doesn't take very long to push down these racks. Gotta be one. It's just a matter of whether TNC want to keep going, but it seems like so much of this team fight is about Gabby having that haunt up. I've seen every team fight. He gets the haunt off, he'll take down the back lines. But Arfu and Roddy just unable to survive as soon as that haunt is popped. And then the team fight is just basically won. It's proving to be a real problem. And on top of that, Gabby just found a DD room.
Kind of mistimed the bottle there, unfortunately, so he doesn't get bottled up. But this is pretty scary. Like, if they do look to force the issue right now here on TNC's end, it's just not enough from SMG to hold back the spec. They have to land the call, they have to land the Ice Blast, they have to make great use of this DK Dragon form along with the Exorcism as well. And once you pop those spells, there's no opportunity to go back in. Once Exorcism's down, once the Dragon form's faded, your heroes are just not going to be as effective as what TNC has on hand. And they just have so much more to play with, even without having these spells. So it's harder for SMG to hit that tempo. I think we need to see them go for another smoke play. It's risky with the state of game, but that's probably their best opportunity to really find a pick-off they need to start trying to bounce back in this game.
I mean, Haunt's back up. It's going to be a pretty big issue now for SMG. You've got the Bloodthorn on mid one. Like, he's a very farmed axe, but it's not really translating to teamfight wins right now. Look at TNC. Look how aggressive they're posturing at the moment with the smoke out now. Looking to go into that mid lane. And another pick off. And there you go. There's your Haunt hit. Who are they going to go on first? They found the big one. They found mid one of the axe, and there's no help around. They are going to let him die without buyback gold. He just bought the Bloodthorn, and they even found more. Moon, he gets Icarus dive on. There's your Shadow Step in from Gabby. In fact, never mind Moon. They'll take down Rogi first, and now with the X-Pack. There is no X-Pack, but it won't matter because Tims is there with the Earth Spike. Knocking down Moon. They will not chase that far in. In fact, Armel now will get stunned up by KB, but look at Gabby. Right in on Arfu. KB, he can't get away from this. An ultra kill for Gabby, and there's your GG call being made. TNC. I've got to give him credit, John. I mean, it's the first game of the qualifier, but my goodness, are they looking clean.
Oh yeah, they're maintaining what we saw from the Animajor. Their performance is looking solid. The draft looked like SMG had it, right? Like, they had these picks that made sense. They had a way of counteracting that Brood early on. Bach felt like he had a really slow game. Gabby was just doing abysmally in terms of his farm for a long time, and they found that top and mid tier 1 really quick. They just didn't manage to build off of that. They never found a tier 2 tower. They started grouping up in groups of 2 and 3, when ideally I think you wanted to play as 4, have mid 1, try to take some free space, and keep trying to force those objectives. They just kind of lost sight of that game plan, and TNC played really disciplined. They just bought space out for Gabby. They played with the Haunt once they had the Echo Saber up. They gave Gabby some of those early kills to help him catch up. And at that point, SMG couldn't really control the map as well as they did in those first 15 minutes. So SMG's got to be careful about kind of going all in on this early draft when TNC goes for the opposite right there.
Absolutely. We'll head off to a short break, and right after that break, we'll be back with the panel to break down what happened in this game number 1.